Hey babes, I'm Marisa and this is Balance in Bloom, a safe space where we connect with Black women and celebrate how they are balancing life's demands while blooming into their full potential. Today I am super excited to sit down with Shirley Ibe, the founder of a gorgeous Canadian-based makeup brand, Made Up Beauty. Shirley is also a makeup artist and has a passion for creating inclusive beauty products. She champions realistic beauty standards and embracing our natural beauty. So let's get into it. Shirley.
Hi, Krista. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Happy to be here.
Yay, I'm so glad that you're here. And we're both wearing pink today, which I appreciate. And of course, I've got my Made Up Beauty goods on the lips today. Just wanted to shout
Yes.
that out.
Oh my God, I
What
love
color do
that.
I have on? Schmood.
Smooth, yes.
So we're going to talk about entrepreneurship, Made Up Beauty, of course, and balance for you. This is Balance in Bloom. So, Made Up Beauty was born out of your passion for creating inclusive beauty products. What's been the biggest challenge in turning that passion into a fully realized brand?
I think a big part of it is fear. There's just so
Mm-hmm.
much when you start your own business. I think there's such a vulnerability there, and you're almost scared because it's not, it feels weird to say, but like it feels like you're exposing a part of yourself. It's like you
Mm-hmm.
wear your heart on your sleeve a lot when you have a brand that's yours. And so I think it was just the fear of doing it, the what ifs, the questions, the unknown, just having to jump into it and just like if you decide to do it and you just have to do it and jump right into it. So I'd say the fear is the biggest thing. I think I always fear the future, the what ifs, what if it's not successful, that kind of thing. I work in healthcare, so I'm a full time manager
Mm-hmm.
at one of the hospitals here. I do makeup artistry.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, not as much as I used to
Yes.
do pre kiddos, but yeah, and then also
Mm-hmm.
running Made Up Beauty.
Yes, we love it. And as a Black female entrepreneur, have you faced any unique barriers in the beauty industry and how have you navigated those?
I always feel like as a Black entrepreneur, we've created a lot of spaces for ourselves. Um, I do find we have to really build our businesses off our community and like networking with community, which is great. I mean, I love doing that anyway. That's how you connect with fabulous people like yourself. But I feel like we just don't get the same viral movement as, I'll call it our white counterparts. If you look on Instagram and you see a certain aesthetic, usually it's not necessarily the Black girl. It's usually people that want
Mm.
the Black features without the Black struggle. Um,
Yes.
right? Those are the people going viral. Those are the people that, they try on their brand lipstick and they go viral and sell all these thousands of products and things like that. So I think it's really just creating space for our community to be a part of this community and just really building those relationships. And it's a slow process, but I think it's more worthwhile because I feel like there's so many people that are part of Made Up Beauty. And I'm like, I feel like I've talked to a lot of them or commented. Like it's more of a
Hmm.
relationship than just to buy my product. I don't care who you are. I
Yeah.
still genuinely like, I still fulfill orders when they come in. And I
Hmm.
remember people that have purchased orders. I love to write the notes. It's getting busier now, so it's harder to do that. But I remember, and those moments are super, super
Hmm.
special. But I think it's just one of those things that takes more time. It's like, the
Hmm.
little engine that could working our way forward in the space that we're in.
Hmm. And actually, I'd like to say I'm a testament to what you were just saying about the connections that have been built and, that maintaining of contact and remembering and all of those things. I just want to say Shirley is someone who will always comment on an Instagram post. Like she's always just there. And it's not like you're interacting with this massive brand and like we're just a number. It's like it does feel very personal. And I just want to say I appreciate that for sure. And I'm sure other people do as well.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
and I
much.
want to go back to no worries. And I want to go back to something I just said there when I'd asked you, oh, what were you doing before? Because I actually think that's a reality,
Mhm.
as an entrepreneur, most people will have either their full-time job or their part-time job. Would you say that it's a goal of yours to make Made Up Beauty everything? Is that what you're working towards?
Oh, this is where the fear kicks in.
Hmm.
Because
I
there's a
bet.
lot of times I feel like I'm like, okay, if I just gave up my other full time job and went full steam ahead with Made Up Beauty, I'm like, I feel like I could take it places. But it's also like,
Mm,
but if you don't, and how long do you have to get it to that place? Because, when you have a
hmm.
family, it's so much harder to kind of live la vida loca like that. The
Yeah, of
risks are
course.
high. The financial cost of running a business is so high. So, I mean, would I love that? Ideally, I would. I would love to live that makeup mogul life. But yeah,
I
I
see
think
it for
there's,
you.
thank you. I see it for myself. I feel like there's going to be one day where it's like that decision has to be made of like, okay, you're getting enough traction and things are going well enough that you can step away and take that leap of faith to just focus in
Hmm.
on made up beauty and do what you need to do there. So, yeah, for now it's a juggling act, but I mean, hopefully one day
Hmm.
I get there.
Oh, you will. Absolutely. You will.
Thank you.
Many entrepreneurs struggle with the balance between creative vision and business strategy. How do you approach that balance in running Made Up Beauty?
I am terrible with that. I think a lot of it, I try to let my brain run free with the creative stuff
Hmm.
because I feel like sometimes if you stifle it too much with business, you lose some of your authenticity of what you're trying to
Hmm.
do. And so I think it's kind of like run wild, let your brain do all the creatives, and then ask yourself, okay, what can we actually do within the business mold, right? Because recently,
Hmm.
recently I've been purging my home, and it's made my brain just clearer to all these amazing things I want to do.
Yes.
Right? You change
Hmm.
your space, it really does change your mind and what it allows it to take in. So I've had all these big dreams. So now I'm like, okay, everything is possible within limits, but I'm like, so how do we make it happen as a business and how does it align with business and growth? And so I think that's how I try to do it, be creative as possible, but then kind of put it into the scope of business and what we're trying to do, and does it make sense and can you afford to do it?
Yeah, that last part there. And is there anyone that you kind of bounce your ideas off of?
Yeah, I think there's multiples. Like Kayla Byer, she's been super supportive with
We love
made up.
Kayla.
We love Kayla so much. I think she's been super good in the sense of helping keeping me grounded, but also being like shoot for the stars.
Hmm.
And it's nice to have
Yes.
someone because it can be lonely running a business because sometimes it's just all you, and sometimes you just need someone to cry to or like just to like say stuff to or be like, I want to do this. And like, you can do it. You're like, yeah, I can do it. Because we
Hmm.
talk ourselves in and out of a lot of things, I think, all day long. That's just being
Yeah.
a business owner. So she's been great with that. My
Yeah.
sister's been really great. She runs a couple of businesses and she's done really well. So
Wow.
I think having other women that have ran businesses that you can say, hey, like, I really want to do this. And like, why not? My friend Ran Hyatt, she created a product called Solace. We chat all the time about our dreams and what we want to do as women entrepreneurs. So I think having multiple people that are in similar spaces and understanding, small businesses, being women of color, those kind of things are really helpful um, in the business world.
Entrepreneurship runs in your family. You just said your sister has two businesses.
Yeah.
Wow. And imagine like what kind of thing you're setting up for your daughter, who is so sweet, by the way. Oh
Thank
my gosh,
you.
she's so cute.
I love
But like you're building for her, like there's a legacy that you're building here, and she might turn around one day and be like, "Mommy, I want to be a business owner as well." I just
Yeah.
think that's so cute. Do you see any overlap between your experiences in the healthcare field and the way you run your beauty business?
I think so. I think the biggest thing I learned in healthcare is, and I relate it to customer service. So I always tell my team, like, we should be treating our patients like it's customer service at the end of the day. Some people don't see it
Yeah.
that way, but I definitely see it that way. Um, I always think I was taught very early on in the healthcare world, always imagine the person you're dealing with is potentially having the worst day of their life, because people will
Mm,
be very nasty to you, they'll be very rude to you. But if you put in the scope of
hmm.
like, this potentially is the worst day of this person's life, how personal are you going to take it? How upset are you going to take it? So I take that in the
Mm,
same sense with like customer feedback or, upset customers. I haven't had a lot, but in the sense of like treating everyone with compassion, like, let's talk through it. I'm not going to take it personal. What's going on? How can I make it better for you? Because sometimes it doesn't take a lot. People just want to be heard. They just want to be
mm.
acknowledged. So customer emails, complaints, it's just like, hey, like, what can I do to make this better? We want to make sure that you're happy at the end of the day. And I think that's just one of the biggest things that I always try to look at. It's not personal. It's usually not about People usually aren't that mad at your
Yeah.
brand or a lipstick. Something else is going on there, but they just want to be heard. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's human nature. We want to be heard. Even if it's a valid complaint,
Mm-hmm.
like hearing someone and being like, how can I help you? Most of the times you're like, no, I think I'm okay. Well, like usually it simmers it down. So I try to carry that with me a lot of the time.
That's a very transferable skill to have in anything, right? But
Yeah.
would you say that you've always been that way, or was there a specific instant that, changed the game?
I haven't, I wasn't always like that. I think I was more of a reactive person because I mean, no one, I shouldn't say no one. People don't want to hear negative things. People don't want to feel attacked. Like we're human beings, we want to protect ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I was more naturally someone to pop off. Like if you came at me, I'm like, you're gonna get it. I'm also Nigerian, so I'm like, let's do this. But I think when I started in healthcare and we had some of that training, there was a video. I remember this video watching it and being like, you don't know these people, don't start crying. But I was like, I was crying because it literally was like, imagine this is the worst day of your life and someone has like been diagnosed with cancer and they're upset about something. And imagine snapping
Yeah.
back at someone who's like, I just found out I had cancer. And yes, of course, they're upset. They're on edge. They're going to say things they probably don't mean. They're upset with the doctor that told them, but it's not personal to you, right? They're just having a really crappy day. And so I think that for me changed so many things about how I approach
Yeah.
people, life. Like, I'm like, hey, someone didn't treat me well, but at the end of the day, as a human, I'll always carry empathy. It doesn't matter what you've done
Mm-hmm.
to me or whatever. I always want to approach every human with empathy because eventually they'll always remember that and it'll always come back. If
They
not to
will.
you, it's going to come back to someone else. And I think that's the goal, right? We want to share warmth and
Mm-hmm.
kindness with each other. And I think that runs through business and I think that runs through everything we do. And I think that's also why I do like those interactions with people because I'm like, I feel so grateful that you supported my business. Like one lipstick,
Mm-hmm.
one like whatever it is, even a comment or like, I'm like, thank you. Because it makes me feel seen. And I
Yeah.
want other people to feel seen and appreciated for supporting something that is like my little dream.
Your big dream.
My
We
big
love
dream.
it. Hmm. I kind of already touched on the motherhood a little bit, but you are a mother to two very beautiful children. You have a full-time job and the business and the babies and being a wife and being a friend, like all of the things.
Something I really learned, especially with parenthood, is taking it one day at a time. What do I need to
Hmm.
do? And just trying to accomplish things, what needs to be done in that day. And not always focusing so far ahead in the future because the anxiety of
Yeah.
like all the things you need to do and how you need to show up as a mom and as a manager and this and that, it becomes very overwhelming. So today it's kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this podcast. I have an event later. I want to spend some time with my kids. I saw my son. Like it's just all those things of just like,
Hmm.
how do I get through today? And then we start again tomorrow. Of course, there's things that need planning in advance, but I think just focusing in on the moment and what we're going through in that moment is important. And I think the other thing too is just giving myself a lot of grace. I think
Mm.
previously I was a lot harder on myself, but I went through a really tough time in 2023. And I spoke with a therapist who was super lovely, another woman of color, and she just shared so much in so much empathy to me that it changed the empathy I give myself. Just about giving
Mm.
yourself space to hold multiple things. Like you can be angry, you can be grateful at the same time, but also just finding self care and joy in different things and letting that be okay. Because I said to her, I'm like, sometimes I feel guilty with my business because like it takes me away from my kids. But I'm like, but I love it. And it gives me so much peace and joy when I'm working on that.
Hmm.
And she's like, but that can be considered self care because we always think of it as like a massage, reading a book, getting away.
Yeah.
But she's like, things that bring you joy, that bring you peace in a space that you create for yourself. She's like, that's also self care. And so I'm like, I
Hmm.
can't be the parent, the mother, wife, manager, whatever I want to be if I'm not creating space for myself to find peace and have peace. And so I just picked that.
Hmm.
I'm like, you can do all the things if you give yourself some grace and know that the love you give and the time you spend, if you're doing it intentionally, your kids are going to remember, your job is going to remember, your business is going to feel it
Hmm.
too. So I think it's being intentional about that time that you do make for everything that you want to do.
I definitely love that part about being intentional with your time and the grace. Similar to what you're saying, you learned from that woman who had said self care is not just the massages and the Pilates and the this and the that, it can be anything you want it to be. I think that I have such a large concentration on active rest. You don't need to be sleeping
Mm,
to be restful. You can
yeah,
be doing anything that really brings you joy that's not productive, but it's like it does something for your inside, it does something for your soul, kind of thing. So, yeah, I
yeah.
definitely relate to what you're saying for sure. And it is very important. But do you say that motherhood has changed the way you approach beauty or the way you think about running your business?
Yes, I think with beauty, so especially after having a daughter, I swore off filters. I just kind of was like, you
Yeah.
know what? The world has become so focused on a certain image and how we look.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you scroll Instagram, it's like everyone's starting to look the same because either if they're not using a filter, they've had plastic surgery to look that way. And I don't have
Right.
an issue if people feel good doing, like, if you want to get it done, that's fine. But for me, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
we need to support more and promote more our natural beauty, what we bring to the table without having to alter ourselves, because we should feel good
Mm-hmm.
about that, right? And even when I do makeup, I'm like, I never want someone to look in the mirror and be like, I look so different. I look great. It's like, no, you look like yourself and you look great. It's an and, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, I love that.
yeah, that's what I want people to see. So even with made up beauty, as you can see now, like I was just like, no filter, it's very basic. This just is how I've been doing
Mm-hmm.
my makeup because I'm like, you
And
don't
you look
need a lot.
gorgeous.
Thank you, and so do you. I've been like staring at your cheekbones.
Thank you.
Um, but I
Thank
just
you.
think it's so important, like, yeah, with raising children to have a positive image of what we're putting out and being
Yeah.
able to appreciate natural beauty because we've just gotten so far from that. And so I really do want anyone that's using the products to be able to see themselves in a space where they don't feel like they have to look like an Instagram baddie or like whatever. You can look like yourself and be happy and comfortable, and we're all beautiful and we're all a part of this beauty space. It's not like you need to look a certain way to be a part of beauty. We're beauty just being ourselves. Wake up in the morning, that's the
Right.
beauty of who we are, right? So that's been, I
Mm-hmm.
think, a big thing with me. I think running my business, how it's changed with children is being, like I was saying, intentional about the time. So like before, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of go in, it's like, la di da, whatever, but it's like, okay, what do I have to get done? Just be more focused. There's definitely, I have times where I can just be a little bit more la di da, but I have to be intentional with my time because I'm like, the time I'm taking
Mm-hmm.
away from my children's time, I'm using on my business. So it's like, let's be efficient, let's be effective, to make sure I'm being able to balance both of those things.
What would you say specifically about having a daughter? Because I hear women say this a lot when they're business owners. What is it specifically about having a daughter that made some kind of shift?
I think it's you really view the way you look at yourself and how they're potentially going to look at you. So we know
Mm,
that there's such a big influence of how daughters perceive themselves through how a mother perceives themselves. So for me,
mm-hmm.
if I'm taking a photo and then my daughter's going to look at the photo and be like, that looks like mommy, but it doesn't look like mommy, and say, oh yeah, because mommy slapped on a filter because mommy didn't like the way she
Mm,
looked. And my daughter looks just
mm.
like me. So it's like if I'm telling her she's beautiful and she looks like mommy, but mommy doesn't like the way she looks, what am I telling her?
Yeah.
Right?
Right, right, right.
Right? I'm not creating a truth in her. She's not going to love herself the way she should because they're always watching, regardless of what we think or see, they're always watching. I know
Mm-hmm.
I've read so many things where it's like, just take the pictures. It doesn't matter. Your kids want to see those memories. It's not about always being glammed up or dolled up or this or that. It's just about
Mm-hmm.
being able to be yourself and being comfortable in your skin. And so I think definitely seeing my daughter and being like, this girl looks just like me. And I'm like, I need to make sure I love myself top tiers so that she can look at herself and know that she is top tier.
Mm, I love that. And I didn't comment on the filter thing. Also, I don't like using filters. I don't like seeing myself enhanced in a way and
Yeah.
then looking at the original and then feeling like, oh,
Right?
because that's a thing. That
Mhm.
whole dysmorphia, body dysmorphia is a whole thing. I just really will everyone to embody their beauty because they are, like you say, the way from when we wake up in the morning in our natural state, that's where the beauty is, in our individuality, the things that make us look different. You're right. Scrolling through Instagram, everyone does look the same. And it's
Yeah.
kind of scary at this point.
100%. It really is because, like, why do we feel the need to not be individuals and we can't appreciate our individual beauty anymore, right?
Mm,
So yeah, I do feel like it's so important to start moving back to a space where it's like, she's so beautiful, but I don't have to look like
hmm.
you to also be beautiful. I can be beautiful without
Right.
having to look exactly like you. I think it's nice to be inspired by people. Like I
Hmm.
always look at beauty, like honestly, I'm like looking at your face. I'm like, oh, my cheekbones. I need to put my blush on. I want to try it. Like that's how I see it,
Hmm.
right? So I'm like, it looks great on you, but like,
Hmm.
how can I make it work for me too? Not like how
Work for
can I look
you.
like you, but
Hmm.
how can I make it work for me? And the same with clients. So
Yeah.
if clients come in and they're like, inspo pick, I want to look like this. I'm like, well, you don't. So
That's the first
you're
thing.
not. Right. And I always say, I'm like, I can take your inspo and I can create a look for you. I'm not going to
Hmm.
make you look like an inspo pic because you're not Kim Kardashian. You're not this person. You are you and you're
Hmm.
beautiful. Let's make it work for
Hmm.
your face and for yourself.
Oh, I love that. Your son has inspired Made Up Beauty's commitment to giving back.
Yeah.
How has his story influenced your outlook on success and purpose?
I want to cry about this. I feel like Heart Month, I'm still like winding down, but
Oh,
um,
oh,
I feel like
it's
success looks
emotional.
so different. Yeah. Um, before you've really gone through something
Mm,
that shapes who you are as a person and your resilience.
yeah.
For me, like, um, yeah, like I almost lost my son. And that really
Mm,
did change how I looked at life and what is success and what we're doing. Um, and giving back, I was like, I've always grown up in a philanthropic family, and I love that.
mm,
But this has given me like a purpose in the sense of like, this hospital saved my son's life. I will
yes.
always show gratitude. I will always give back and I will always raise awareness. Because I mean, until it happens to you don't know, right?
You don't
And
really
so
think
my
about
goal
it,
is,
yeah.
you really don't. Like you hear statistics and you're like, well, it doesn't affect me until you become the statistic, which we
Mm,
did. And so I think it's helped me feel successful in the fact I'm like, if I can just like help a family, if I can just help one person, that to me is like the success there. If I can give back, that's the success there. And I think it's made me feel so much more purposeful. Like Heart Month for me with Made Up Beauty, I think that was just like the best month ever because I'm like, yeah, I'm going to fill this feed with all this stuff and all these facts. People might not, they're like, there's a beauty page. I'm like, that's fine, but this is what we're sharing. This is what we're doing. And if I can use beauty to help connect that and support a cause that's so dear to me, I'm going to do that.
hmm.
So I think just having
Hmm.
that purpose that is just so tangible and so close to me and so dear to my heart is such a driving factor because I just see that as like,
Hmm.
I know, like, obviously, you want to grow your business to be financially successful. I want to do that, but a big part of that, I want to do it so I can give back more and so that my company
Hmm.
can give back more to that cause. And so that has been super, super important for me. I've had some big dreams around that, and I hope I can make them happen. But I think that's definitely where things have shifted for me. It like having that purpose. Um,
Hmm.
it's yeah, it just feels very meaningful.
I really like what you just said about, yeah, this is a beauty page, but this is what we're going to concentrate on now because that speaks to you using your platform because you have one, I
Yeah.
think, properly, bringing awareness to the things that are actually important. Because you're right, you definitely don't think about these things until you experience it, and you
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe me looking at it might not have a direct connection with it, but someone I know or someone they know, like if I share it, and I just think it has a ripple effect, and I really endorse people who use their platforms in this way. So thank you for bringing that knowledge to us. I think it's brilliant, and long may it continue because we do need to be
Thank
educated.
you. Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. What's your vision for the next 5 years of Made Up Beauty? And are there any upcoming product launches or exciting plans?
I have so many things I want to do. um, the next 5 years, I think one of the biggest goals for me is I really do want to see myself in brick and mortar. Shoppers Drug Mart has been such a great partner for me, so that's something I'm really working towards. I think cosmetics is challenging because people always, of course, want to
Yeah.
see it, feel it, swatch it, see the colors, especially for people of color, right? Because, like, we've seen stuff we've ordered online. I'm like, that pink, tried it. Like, right? And so I think it's like you almost have to build that trust again, where it's like shopping online is hard because you're
Yeah.
like, no, last time I ordered that, I looked crazy. So I would
Mhm.
love to be in a physical store where people can try the colors because I have gotten a lot of that feedback. Like, where can I buy your stuff? Like, I really just want to try the shade. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I could swatch it and show you. But that's one of my goals for sure. I would love to host like a big master class, a makeup master class with Made Up Beauty.
That
Um,
would be so cool.
yeah, that is one of my dreams. I'm like, a part of me like, don't say it, but I'm like, I'm going to say it because it's something I actually want to do. I'm going to work
Yes,
towards. So if you put it out in the
say it.
universe, right,
Absolutely.
it's better that way. So that's something I think like within the next year I'd love to do.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah. I think do one for the community, make it super fun, and really talk about what we've been talking about, like just loving ourselves, right, and how we can enhance beauty
Mm.
without filters. Enhance beauty without filters. I love that.
Oh, look at
Um,
that. She's got her tagline already. I
Right?
love
We are
it.
ready to go. Yeah, so I think that's one of the things, and just more community engagement and more community events. I think one of the best parts about owning a business and having a platform is connecting with people, and making those memories. Those are always
Mhm.
my favorite things. Anytime I have an event or something where I get to connect, I'm like, yes, they're exhausting, but I feel so good about it. It's what makes me come
Mhm.
alive. So I think just having more of that engagement with community and people, and allowing more people to try the products, but just build those relationships as well.
Mhm. It's just, it's an exciting time ahead for you. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
That is all I'm saying. If you could change one thing about the beauty industry right now, what would it be?
this is controversial, but I'm going to say it. I feel like there's a lot of faking the funk right now. And I
Mm.
feel like a lot of it falls around DEI. I feel like a lot of it is performative in look at all of our shade ranges. I'm like, you don't care. Like, I'm glad you're making them, but you don't care, right? And it's just like, I feel like Black women get used a lot for marketing now because, like, look at us, we're diverse, look at
Yeah.
us. But I'm like, do
Yeah.
you care? Are you actually like, are we on the forefront of your mind when developing a product or just when you're selling the product? Right? Because that's
Mm.
different. And so I think
True.
it's just, right? Like, I would just like to see more honesty in brands that are getting called out. Because I feel like now people are just getting called out because they almost want to. I don't know if it helps their marketing, but there's brands I'm like, you shouldn't be getting called out. It's been 30 years, right? Ballerina should
Mhm.
not be coming for you because you know better. But I feel like they do it and then like, oh my God, we're so sorry. We changed it. Look at all of our shades. And we're like, yay, thank you for thinking of us. Like, I would just like us to
Yeah.
stop with the BS because I'm like, okay, you're doing that, but like, let's
Yeah.
push forward brands that actually have us at the forefront. Like, I think it's great to put the pressure on some and step on the next and be like, listen, you should have a full shade range. But I also think it's like, why don't we just support the brands and bring up the brands that do want to do that, that have us at the
Do.
forefront, right? Because those are the brands that are staying
Mhm.
in small business or going out of business while we're pressuring big brands that are going to be in business to see us, right? And
Mm.
that's the piece where, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I don't know if everyone agrees with what I'm saying, but I feel like we create spaces for ourselves. And I think other brands and other places need to see that. But I also think we need to support the people that have seen us from the beginning.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think while everyone wouldn't agree with you, I think a large part of the population would agree with you because you can see through performative
Mm-hmm.
like acts. Sometimes when you throw up something that is going to create some kind of contradiction or controversy, like controversial posts definitely perform well. So I do think there's some
Yeah,
truth in what you're saying about putting themselves in the eye of the storm and being like, oh my gosh, this was a strategic move. Let's all be
exactly.
FFR.
Yeah, right. Because if
Yeah.
no one reacted, they'd be like, "Oh shoot," right? But it's like they know they're going to get those reactions, and people are going to keep
Mm-hmm.
checking back, and it's like someone's gonna be like, "Oh my God, they did it!" And then, right, like it's just this, yeah, wave that they're riding.
We can see it. We can see you guys, all
That's
right?
right.
What advice would you give to women, especially black women or women of color, who are hesitant to start their own business because of fear or self doubt?
You know what? I would say connect with other women that are running businesses that are open to chat. I feel like sometimes we sabotage ourselves by not
Yeah.
wanting to share, but I think that's the biggest and best part when you connect with other entrepreneurs that are doing something that are willing to share. You create a community and you learn from each other. So I'd say find
Hmm.
mentors, find people that are like you, that have similar values and goals. It won't be the same product, but similar values and goals, and understand business and can help support you in your business. That and people that want to see you win, because again, we know there's a lot of people that are happy to smile on your face, and then behind you they are not smiling.
Hmm.
Um, there's always going to be fear, but I think if you become an expert in what you do and what you know, there's always that confidence to back it, as well, knowing what you're going into. So take the time to research, take the time to know what you're getting into, um, know who your clientele and your communities are. Because I think it's so easy to jump on trends of like small businesses. I think there's so many small businesses now, which is incredible. But then I think there's a lot of people that see them like, oh, I could do that. It's like, girl, we are all
Yeah.
logging off this call and crying. Like, it's hard. Like, it looks glamorous, but it's hard. So I think it's like you
No,
have to be
it is.
passionate about what you're doing. You have to want to do it for the right reasons and not just for a paycheck or for like some celebrity status or something. Because it's at the end of the day, it's hard, and it's hard to keep going when you don't find that purpose or the joy or the things that really hold you down when the storm comes, because it will always come. That's just part of
Hmm.
business. But if you have something that grounds you and anchors you in a community that's like holding on to you as well, that's how you're going to get through those moments, and people that cheer you through the fear. You're going to have the fear, but when you have people that can lift you up during those fearful times, that next level, you get to help the next person that comes in fearful. And it's like, hey, I went through this. I get it. I've been there. I
Hmm.
had two kids, but I still ran my business. This is how I did it. Like,
Hmm.
we just having that support, I think, is so important for anyone starting out, or even like not starting out 20 years in, 30 years in.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah,
time. Would you
exactly.
say that you have a core kind of set of people who you know you can rely on? And also, I don't know whether you are religious, but do you rely on God? Like, what does that look like for you, that support system?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely, I would say, like a core group of women. So I have women that are entrepreneurs. I have friends that aren't entrepreneurs, but they're like, go, Shirley, go. We want to see you win, which is like the sweetest thing. They buy the product, they talk about the product. They're like consumers in the sense of like, I could talk to them for feedback. They're like, hey, like if I was to do this, what do you think? And it's nice to have
Hmm.
that. I am a woman of faith, so God is numero uno, in my life, in this
Hmm.
household, because I think, again, I just don't know where I would be without God. Um,
It's the truth.
Right? Definitely the anchor. And I think we always need something to turn our eyes to that brings us back to a space of like humility and humbleness and growing your
Hmm.
faith. Again, even with my son, that was a time that I don't say it challenged my faith. It didn't challenge my faith, but it grew my faith exponentially. Because I was like,
Mm.
God, if my son can survive this, because he wasn't expected to survive, I'm like, I will
Hmm.
always look at faith so differently. When they talk about faith of a mustard seed, when someone says there's zero chance or very limited chance your son's going to survive, and God's like, bet, right?
Hmm.
Um, so for me, yeah, God for sure is definitely the anchor foundation for my life, period. And then you have all the people that help support you and ground you in the work, and the things that you're doing.
This has been a recurring theme, like that God is numero uno across the interviews that I've been doing, and
Yeah.
it's true. And it's not to say, those who aren't religious, I'm sure that everyone has something that is anchoring them or someone that is
Hmm.
anchoring them. But it's just nice to hear that there's just this connection that we all share.
Yeah.
I want to ask where we can find you on Instagram. Please let the people know.
Yeah. So at Made Up Beauty underscore at the end, please check us out. Join our community. We would love to have you. Thank you so much.
Yay, thank you. This has been so wonderful having a little chat
Thank you.
and
Yes, I've
like just
enjoyed it
getting
so
to
much.
know you better.
Right? I'm like, next time in Toronto, we're gonna hang out.
Yes, please, let's do it. Come over. All right. Speak soon.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.